Well, Bendigo sit top of the table. They've strung together 9 wins on the trot. But when these sides met just a week ago, a late strike from the Lightning gave the Spirits something to think about. Can Adelaide pull out another big performance and ask more questions of the defending champs? Well, it's a tough ask, but the Spirit back on their home court today, the scene of their grand final win last season. And what a moment that was for the Spirit. Hello and welcome to Bendigo Basketball Stadium for our round 9 coverage of the WNBL. I'm Stephanie Brantz with the expert Laurie Chiswick, who is hopefully not as tongue-tied as I am at the moment. Loz, these teams have met for the 3rd time today, it'll be this season already. Bendigo won the first 2. You'd have to say they really are still the form team.
Oh, absolutely, Steph. You would have to say that Bendigo are red-hot favourites to go back-to-back for the title this year. As you said, 9 on the trot. If you take in last year's season record, they are 32-4. So they are travelling very nicely. Conversely for that, however, Adelaide have had a very tumultuous couple of weeks with the sacking of their coach, losing a star player to injury this week, some whispers of player unrest, and add to that the fact that they have to play the top two teams this weekend. They're in for a real challenge.
Well, speaking of top 2 teams, let's go right to the other end of the table. Loz, this round tipped off last night where Logan and West Coast met at Logan Metro.
Look, that's not a result that we didn't expect. It's good to see Logan get their 3rd win after losing some close games.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Logan did win that one. It didn't make a big difference to the ladder. Bendigo still up there, sitting pretty on top.
They are, and I think they'll retain that spot after today's game. But we can see that Sydney is climbing up the ladder as we expected. The big thing for me, Steph, is that if we look at Adelaide, if they happen to lose 2 this weekend, they could actually fall to 7th spot.
Well, very interesting matchup. Let's see if Bendigo can maintain this winning form and head over to Darren Boyd in commentary. Boydie.
Thanks very much, Steph and Loz. You'd have to say the odds are in the Spirit's favour. They've won 14 in a row on their home court, so they'll be feeling confident. They're starting big today. You can see the size just there. Elise Penaluna in the middle, along with Gabe Richards and Kelsey Griffin up front, and the stars in the backcourt, Christy Harrower and Kelly Wilson. Plenty of power off the bench as well. For Adelaide, well, their depth is tested with the injury to Stephanie Talbot, 19 years of age, young gun. She gives them a lot of impetus, but she's missing today and will be for a few weeks. Still, with Jenny Screen and Laura Hodges in that starting lineup, as well as Jess Foley, there is plenty to like about what Adelaide can produce. And there is Kelly Wilson. The Bendigo stalwart is playing her 250th game today, so congratulations to Kelly. An excellent achievement from her, and that's a violation. That Jess Foley has a little chuckle to herself, Laurie.
It's always, sorry Darren, I was just going to say it's always nice for somebody like Kelly Wilson to play her 250th game in front of her home crowd.
Absolutely, and Christy Harrower has the ball, played her 300th game in this competition just a few weeks ago, as Jenny Screen out and knocking the ball away from her Australian teammate. Christy Harrower, a household name. And her father, Bernie, of course, the reigning championship coach. Gabe Richards does something she doesn't normally do, and that's missed from close range. Marino looking to charge quickly. Good pass from Foley. Screen's wide open. Can't get the first basket, and Bendigo are the #1 rebounding side in the competition, so watch for them to be cleaning up Adelaide's misses.
Wow.
And again, Richards misses down low.
This is a frenetic pace, Darren. Both teams are really looking to run the floor, push it. Good ball movement, and both teams are going inside early.
And again, Hodges misses, and again, Bendigo can clean up.
Do you think there's some nerves out there, Darren?
Well, it would be surprising if there were, given the veterans that are in these lineups, and that's knocked away from Harrower again, this time by Foley, but she wasn't confused there, Jess Foley, by Harrower's little hesitation move and change of direction. Griffin off balance, Penaluna can't clasp it. It's a fresh 24 seconds because Kelsey Griffin's shot came off the ring, so Bendigo have got plenty of time to get through an offense here, if they so choose. Kelly Wilson instead decides to be aggressive.
Tell you what, if you take away Christy Harrower and Angela Marino, there's some big bodies out there for both these teams. There's some good height.
And perhaps Wilson, who was just caught up a little bit on that occasion, and Marino made a great decision for the first basket of the game.
Well, absolutely. If she recognizes that her defense is going under that screen, that on-ball screen, or got caught up, she just pulled out and let the trigger go, Darren.
So Angela Marino, who hasn't been shooting that 3-ball well this year, but it has been a feature throughout her career, gets the first basket. That's lovely for Wilson in her milestone game.
Well, that again was good use of the on-ball screen for Kelly Wilson, and that drive, she just kept her eyes up on the target.
Azonia Stewart, the UK international.
It's good to see her to get off to a good start, Darren, because really she's not a scoring, she doesn't have a huge scoring impact for this team, and they could use her to add those extra points on the board.
There's no doubt, and they need a lift in that regard. They're just the seventh ranked offense in the competition. Bendigo, the second best. And in particular today, because Bendigo are the second best defensive team as well by points conceded. So they're going to need somebody to help this lady, Laura Hodges. Could it be Jess Foley, who's got off to a good start as well? This is excellent stuff from the Lightning. Christy Harrower giving her team a rocket in the other huddle. There's plenty of smiles for Adelaide. And a timeout has been called, Laurie, by Bernie Harrower, the Bendigo coach.
Well, I'm not surprised, because there's a little bit of frustration from Bendigo on the court right now.
Get it in the game! Finish here! Get the stuff done! Get the D done! It's exactly what I hate about this bloody team, when you do not come out and play hard. Be physical, be aggressive, get after it! It ain't acceptable to do what we did Tuesday night. Right now, we're Tuesday night. Right where it's at. Come out and play hard D, hard offense, get after it, and show some energy. I'm not seeing it. Away, do it hard, get a score, get to the rim.
Well, I'll just read from you a quote from Bernie in the Bendigo Advertiser this week, Laurie. I got stuck into them at training this week about complacency and not getting ahead of themselves. Do you reckon that might have been why he was just saying right then, this is Tuesday night all over again?
I do not believe I've ever heard Bernie Harrower speak as forcefully and with that much passion as I did in that timeout. Let's see if it has the effect that he wants.
Obviously, all coaches, you are one. You've coached at this level, Laurie. You know the pressure. You know what it takes to succeed. Is it almost magnified Harrower's reaction because of how good he knows this team can be?
Well, it's that. It's a frustration when you're coaching and a team does come out softly and not doing what you want them to do. And the fact that Bernie doesn't do that often, that'll have a huge, that in itself makes a statement when he says it and says it the way he does.
There's Kelly Wilson's shoes. Maybe she's worried more about style than substance. Let's see. No, she's not. 2-point attempt from the perimeter. And Kelly Wilson has all of their points. Stephanie Brands, I'm not sure. You were trying to listen to the Adelaide timeout. We were obviously distracted by the spray from Bernie Harrower at the other end.
I was standing just behind Adelaide's timeout, but I could hear Bernie Harrower perfectly, so I could tell you about both. But Adelaide, as you would imagine, very, very positive. They spoke about continuing to run the ball on the counter because they think they've got it all over Bendigo on that level.
Well, I'd have to agree right now that that's exactly right, Steph. They are really running the floor and pushing that ball up.
Well, Jenny Screens on the line. One of the leaders of this team, 155 WNBL games, 30 years of age. She would have played significantly more, but she has spent plenty of time plying her trade overseas.
You can see that Adelaide have gone into a zone now.
Just challenging Bendigo to take a perimeter shot. Kelsey Griffin responded and missed. But again, just watch for Bendigo's rebounding dominance all day. There's a wrestle on inside. The basket, I don't think will count. I think the foul was actually elsewhere. The basket does count.
Well, the basket, the foul was with Gabe Richards, but I didn't know whether it was before she actually shot the ball.
Richard Dickel, the Adelaide coach, just on screen a moment ago. He is flabbergasted, I think it's fair to say.
Here.
What's going on there, Laurie?
If it was a pushing foul, then it should have been called, I think, before she went into her shot action.
And
oh, there we go. It is. It's the end line now.
So does that mean they've waved the score away? The scoreboard still says 6-10, which I believe is what it would have been had that basket counted. So we might have to seek clarification. Tracy York, the Adelaide assistant, I think is asking the same question. That basket will count as we try and solve that mystery.
Yeah.
Elise Penaluna is going to go to the line to try and get a three-point play happening, and Jason Kelly, the head referee, is being called over by the Adelaide coaches to try and work out exactly what is happening after that last play. So there's the discussion between Jason Kelly and the Adelaide coach.
If I could read his lips, I think he was saying the foul took place after the basket was scored.
Wow. That would be a strange call. And Richard Dickel, I'm still trying to read his body language at this point.
They're not changing the score. They're
not, are they? So I think we count the basket to Gabe Richards. We count the follow-up basket, obviously, to Elise Penaluna, and it's 8-10. Adelaide still with the slender advantage. Marino almost losing the handle on it. She does. She trips Wilson just in her attempt to go after the ball.
That was over dribbling on Marino's part. She needed to get the ball out of her hands. Wilson was riding all over her.
Now Bendigo perhaps can draw level or go ahead, and they'll do that. They're the second best passing team in the competition. Christy Harrower is the best at it. She found Richards down low. They've scored 8 unanswered points since the Bernie Harrower spray at the 7.5-minute mark of this quarter. So, well, sorry, the 2.5-minute mark, which was 7.5 to go, if you catch my drift.
Darren, maybe we're going to have to call Bernie's timeout the play of the day.
Maybe. That is possible. And there's a turnover. Could be the spray of the day. Well, I think it's going to be almost impossible to top that for the spray of the day. Harrow with the floater, not quite. Adelaide need a basket. Nadine Payne's into the game. She's running the floor for screen. Foley, excellent jump shooter. Can't get this one to go. Let's look at the rebound advantage. It's 6. No, it's 5 all. So I thought Bendigo had a few more than that. Penaluna gets one here, and that height is so hard for Adelaide to match. There's a timeout being called by the Lightning. Now they need to halt the momentum because it is, well, it's all going Bendigo's way at the moment.
Lars, you get in quickly. Hey, girls, they're putting a little bit of pressure on us. We're going to use that pressure against them, all right? All right, let's make sure that on our offense, if we're running motion or something, let's not keep the ball down one side. Let's get a ball reversal on it, okay? Okay, down there, hey, I know they're going in and standing in the keyhole early. I'll have a quick word to the referees, about 3 seconds, but we're going to push them under the basket or step in and block them out. One or the other, all right? We've got to fight, girls. Hey, keep our focus. Keep our focus. Sorry, I lost my focus a little bit there.
They've
keep
got
our
4
focus.
offensive rebounds and they've scored off all of them. We're better than that.
Yeah.
Way better.
Block them out down here. Block them out help side. Let's go.
Good call from Jenny Screen, I reckon, on the offensive rebound, Laurie.
Well, that last one we saw when Elise Penaluna scored, she just used her length. She didn't bring the ball down at all and was able to finish easily.
There is Elise Penaluna on her way back from some serious injuries and is really hitting some form now, which is great for the Bendigo Spirit. She's averaging 11 points per game and half a dozen rebounds. And there's another turnover. Mansfield and Lewis with a miscommunication. That's 3 turnovers against Adelaide now, and we've got 0 assessed against, 4 turnovers in fact, 0 assessed against the Bendigo Spirit. And there is one.
I'm wondering, Darren, if Adelaide, other than those first few minutes, look a little bit out of sync right now, and whether it's that new coach, Mark Dickel's introducing a new offense, and they're still coming to terms with that. But they just seem to not quite have that chemistry, that relationship between each other, that movement.
Well, I'm interested to get your thoughts on exactly what Richard Dickel has changed, and not immediately, just throughout the game, because we've seen them once under his coaching, as that's another bullet-like pass. Screen does well to come across and foul Richards.
That's such good recognition, and again, that chemistry between Christie and Gabe Richards. They've just played together for so long. They can read that sort of movement.
And I'm just thinking about what Richard Dickel has changed. We saw them 2 weeks ago against Townsville, and really in the tight game at the end, he sat back and let the players take it and coach the game themselves. But I wonder if since then, if he's made any tweaks or things that you can recognise. You've already spoken about the fact that he wants them to get up and run a little bit more. Interesting to see how else they differ from the Peter Buckle coach sides.
Well, I know just from comments again that I've read, and we haven't really seen it yet, is he wanted them to be much more defensive oriented so that they could come up with some stops and then run the ball up the floor. And so he was going to come up with some new defensive structures, and so tough to do that against Bendigo, who are so well drilled and play such team basketball.
Joe Hill into the game. Gives it to Lewis. Guarded by Griffin, the WNBL Grand Final MVP last year. She cleans up their own mess there, Amy Lewis, and is able to finish. Originally from Hamilton in country Victoria. She's today playing for the Adelaide Lightning against the representatives of country Victoria, the Bendigo Spirit. Richards down low. Beautiful.
That is such a good isolation play. They had a little gate set at the top of the key for Kelly Wilson to go through, so you have to defend that, and isolated Gabe Richards down low. Tough to defend.
Hodges. It's in and out. Well done by Blitzar. So athletic to grab that rebound. Now Wilson charging down. This is what I love about Bendigo. They can play at so many different tempos, Laurie, can't they? When you've got Kelly Wilson, Sarah Blitzarves, and Kelsey Griffin in particular in the game, they can be electrifyingly quick.
They're explosive,
yeah,
too.
Griffin, tough shot. Well done by Hodges. Did really well to force her into that move and then grab the rebound. Now Mansfield gives it to the veteran, Hill. Looks to screen. Hill comes across. It's been a physical game at times.
Good
Lewis lost the handle
by Kelly Wilson. Really active hands out there, going for the ball. I love the way she's playing right now. She's not only offensively, we know she's a great scorer, but defensively, she's tough out there.
Really interested to hear more of your thoughts on Kelly throughout the game, and also at halftime as Harrower turns the corner and just charges through. Another gap. You could drive a truck through that, and Harrower was able to capitalise on it. And it's 17-12 here. Bendigo are dominant at the moment. They've scored 15 points to 4 since they were jumped at the outset. But at halftime, we're going to focus on Kelly Wilson. And of course, you were assistant coach to Brendan Joyce in the Opal squad in the recent recent series against New Zealand. And Kelly Wilson was one player who really surprised you at how well she, I guess, developed even further in that Australian environment.
Oh, absolutely. I think she just flourished in that. She loved the opportunity and took advantage of it.
Another player who's done well at international level at times in her young career is Azania Stewart. As part of the UK team at the London Olympics last year.
And they came ever so close of qualifying for the World Championships this year as well.
Having a nice start to the game. Rattles one home for the three-point play. So this is an entertaining start here at the Bendigo Basketball Stadium.
It's interesting, Darren. I feel like Bendigo have dominated and should be ahead by a lot more, but Adelaide, to their credit, are hanging in there.
Wilson off target.
That's offensive rebounding that Jennifer Screen was talking about at that timeout.
Still in this zone, Adelaide. They're scrambling. Blitzars, now Penaluna to Harrower. She's spoken, Christie, about how she's been struggling with her shot this year after more or less not touching a basketball for about 5 months. She wasn't alone in that. Susie Bakovic has said much the same thing. That the last, well, let's be honest, the two best players in the WNBL over the last couple of years both gave themselves lengthy breaks, and they're taking some time to get their rhythm back. But
well, I think the same can be said of Abby Bishop, who was, you know, having had an injury that she needed to rehabilitate in the off season, and so she didn't touch a basketball, and so we saw a slow start to her season, which we hopefully will be able to talk a little bit more about later.
Aubrey, not quite. Penaluna again stands tall. Another offensive rebound. That is 6 offensive rebounds. 12 to 8 in total rebounds Bendigo's way. And again, they're going to score. No, Penaluna's shot is off target.
Jo Hill did a great job in there. She was back behind her, and she was doing everything she could to push Penaluna out of position.
There's a shove from Blitzarves on Jo Hill at the other end, so Hill is able to earn a possession after all her hard work at the other end. Richard Dickel, just his 3rd game in charge of this team. He coached his brother Mark a few years ago at
right.
the Victoria Titans in the NBL.
And if they're at all the same personalities, we know how Mark Dickel was just, shall I say, a crazy man on the court. He was great value.
17 points all as Jo Hill finds the bottom of the net with both of those. So, fascinating opening quarter here. Adelaide jumping Bendigo, Bendigo rattling back, and now we're all tied up, very close to the break. Wilson to Garrick. Off target. Adelaide finally secure a rebound cleanly at this end. One shot they want. 15 seconds till quarter time. 10 now. She'll go at 7. Mansfield goes herself. Off target, Hill couldn't grab hold of it. Aubrey gives it up to Wilson. They won't get an attempt away. And so we're all tied up here at quarter time at the Bendigo Stadium. The home side were, as we said throughout the call, shocked early, but they've recovered well, as you would expect from the championship team. And it's Bendigo 17, Adelaide 17 on ABC Grandstand. So 17 points all. Laurie, what do you make of the numbers? Look at the difference in field goal attempts.
Well, absolutely, and the percentages aren't really high on either team. We saw that frenetic first opening few minutes, but not a lot of payback with the scoring. Offensive rebound 6 to 1 is clearly the stat that stands out for these two teams.
And the turnovers, as we said as well. So let's look at the highlights. And as we said during the calls, Adelaide early, and Angela Marino with the first basket of the game. Azania Stewart was involved. Jess Foley with a 3-point play, made it 8 points to 2 before Bernie Harrower called his troops in for a big spray.
Well, I was curious. I didn't make note of the score at that time when he did, but certainly after that timeout and that spray from Bernie Harrower, the Bendigo spirit lifted in every department, in their running, in their defensive intensity, their looks inside, their passing, everything improved, and it showed on the scoreboard.
Defensively, Laurie, there's been, I guess, differing amounts of pressure put on the sides. What did you make of the battle at that end? Both these sides are noted for their defense.
Well, I actually liked the way Adelaide was switching up their defenses. They were going from man to man to zone, and the zone was actually quite effective. Bendigo probably prefer more inside shots than outside, although we know that Kelly Wilson, Christy Harrower can certainly light it up from the outside. But really, they need to continue to do that, Adelaide. They need to throw different things at them, whether it's a full court press, whether it's trapping. Otherwise, you can't let Bendigo just get into a tempo.
Have your say at ABC WNBL is how you get in contact with us on Twitter. We'll try and put some of your best tweets to air, have a chat about your thoughts about this game or anything else happening around the WNBL. A really critical round, I'd say, Laurie, this week in the WNBL. We've got some fascinating matchups. This one is one of them. Adelaide against Bendigo. We've got Canberra, Sydney tonight. Those two teams trying to keep in touch with the top four. Dandenong, Melbourne tonight as well.
Made for a hard week of tipping, Darren.
It did. Here's Bernie Harrower, a little bit calmer now on the Bendigo bench. Penaluna takes a seat and Gabe Richards checks back into the game. What adjustments would you have made if you were coaching either team? Does anything jump out at this stage?
Well, I think, as mentioned in the timeout, the second chance opportunities for Bendigo, if you give them 2 or 3 chances, they are going to score on you. Great penetration by Amy Lewis there. She is lightning quick. She's explosive off that first step, and there was no mistaking her driving to the basket and finishing.
And Adelaide in front, 19-17. Here's Garrett, 21 years of age, gives it to Aubrey, the Canadian international. Misses everything.
I'd probably like to see...
Blicavs, sorry, Laurie. Sarah Blicavs read that superbly and then used her body brilliantly. She just hesitated enough to keep Stewart out of the path and could finish.
She's good at that, Sarah. She's got those long arms. She's got that athletic body. Good anticipation.
Reminiscent of Susie Batkovic, who a couple of years ago led the league in steals, doing exactly that, just anticipating the passes and then sprinting out.
You can see there, though, she just...
High arcing shot doesn't make it.
Great rebound by
Yeah.
Chelsea. I was just going to say, down at the defensive end, Sarah, she came out of her stance, she jumped up and allowed Jess Foley to go around her easily. That's something she's got to work on.
Aubrey's going to keep firing. She was 0 for 2, but as is appropriate for a player who shoots the ball at nearly 60% from the three-point line, Chelsea Aubrey's going to keep jacking them up, and she eventually connected. Bendigo lead by that margin. Mansfield, they force her baseline, and she is up to it.
It's a great finish by Lauren Mansfield. Nice little reverse layup.
I feel like I say this every time I see Adelaide play, but gee, I enjoy watching her play. It's exciting. Doesn't get a massive amount of court time, just about 10 minutes, but something always seems to happen. And Stewart, I think, is called for another foul, but it would just be her second personal, so no major stress.
I like that look for Bendigo, getting it inside to Gabe Richards, because we know with, and I don't think we've really talked about it yet, but the injury to Steph Talbot, that limits Adelaide in their options of who's going to guard their bigs, who's going to guard Gabe, who's going to guard Chelsea or Elise Panaluna when she's on. If they can get their bigs in any sort of foul trouble, it'll put them under extreme pressure.
Just a correction, and Stewart only has 1 foul, so I think the foul might have been on the player reaching in. It was on Joe Hill, in fact, so still no stress for either club, really, as far as fouls go. Wonderful pass. Just brilliant. Foley lobs it into Hodges, who doesn't let you down from that sort of range. Adelaide staying in touch. The double team comes. Foley's doing a power of work, and there's a foul called. Laura Hodges can't believe it. The foul is assessed. Not against her, it's against Stewart.
Well, they really didn't need to foul that. Gabe was in a bit of strife there as far as where she was going to pass the ball. I thought Adelaide did a really good job of their rotation there. As soon as the ball left the hands to get into Gabe, there was that double team, triple team, and fortunately they fouled her, and now she finds herself at the line.
She does, and she's already got 9 points, Richards. Having another really good year. Just a stunning year, really, last year. And was selected in the WNBL All-Star 5, a championship player with this club, and backing it up again, averaging the best part of a double-double, 13 points and 9.9 rebounds in a team that's got stronger in the front court.
Well, and unfortunately for Gabe, she was injured just at a time when Australian camps were underway and the selection to go to China and then to New Zealand, because you have to think she would have been in with a chance just on her stellar WNBL season.
So Bendigo lead by 2. Here's Chantella Pereira. Gives it up to Richards.
They're in a matchup zone now, Adelaide.
And Bendigo looked a little bit confused on that play. You rarely see them in that situation, Laurie, that a few players running to the same spots. Now they've only got 4 seconds on the shot clock. And they throw it away. Hodges trying to chase after it to perhaps get an easy basket, but it won't happen.
That's an uncharacteristic turnover from Christy Harrower.
And Bernie's not happy. So 6.5 minutes until half-time. Adelaide can draw level again, or perhaps go ahead with a 3-point play or 3-point basket. Another foul called.
Well, they're determined to go under the screen with Marino. They're trying to jam up on the post and get her out of position so that they can slide under, but on that occasion, a foul was called.
Here is Marino again, guarded by Pereira. You can't go under a screen when Jess Foley's involved. She was able to penetrate and give it up to Nadine Payne, who brings scores level again. Entertaining contest here in round 9 of the Women's National Basketball League. Bernie Harrower is apoplectic again on the sidelines. Another foul called, heavy collision. Well, Hodges hits the deck.
There's no question that this matchup zone is slowing Bendigo down to some degree. They're following some of the cutters away, then all of a sudden we'll switch on that. So they're doing a great job of talking and pointing and making sure somebody's matched up.
And so now it's Pereira on the line. Only averaging about 7 minutes a game this year, Chantella Pereira. She's bounced around the league, but involved in championship teams at a few different clubs. Canberra Capitals was one of them, and enjoying her time in Bendigo. She has a seat after giving her team the lead once more. Hodges got Aubrey off balance, and now Foley rattles one home. Jess Foley doubles her scoring for the game and puts Adelaide back in front once more. 28-27. They're shooting the ball a lot better than Bendigo. 53% to 33%, and that's what's keeping them in it, because this is killing them. The offensive rebounds that Bendigo has been able to control. That's 8 offensive rebounds Bendigo have had, and they've scored on most of them. Well, I don't know if that counts as another one, because they didn't get a reset of the shot clock. It was a clear shot attempt. Didn't hit the ring. Richards has got to get moving. 6 seconds here. Harrower can hit this.
Oh, the rainbow shot. Great inside-out game. Great recognition by Gabe Richards that they were going to double team her. Christy Harrower wide open at the top of the key.
So with Bendigo leading 30-28. We see Nadine Payne down the other end, making the basket. And she's going to the line after that. Bernie Harrower giving the referees a piece of his mind.
Well, they were trying to, Bernie and I think some of the players, Chelsea, were trying to complain of her fend-off hand as she went up, that she used that illegally, but to me it just looked like a good fend-off. Exactly what you want to do, and one.
So we're going to try and get down and have a chat to Bendigo player Chantella Pereira on the bench, but there has been a timeout called. So we will listen in instead to what her coach, Bernie Harrower, has to say.
let's go 2-3 here for a couple of minutes. See if we can take the referees out of the game, okay? Gabe, you be in the middle. Kelsey, you got baseline, you got baseline, okay? Just know where Foley is. Who else is out there? Screening. Know where they are, and use two in the guard spots in that.
Match up and follow.
Match up and follow unless you pass them on to somebody else, okay? But go, when you come out, show them that it's a zone. Show that it's a zone, and then you're in match up after that. Hey, we just got to get some stops down that end of the floor offensively.
Hey, the help's going to come from behind. We can't help down ball side and then they just kick it out for a three.
Let's go slide first play.
Okay.
Slide. Okay. No, if they're in zone, it's swinger, or spin, or spin. Yeah.
Indecision there on the Bendigo bench from Coach Bernie Harrower. Not what we're used to seeing. He's got so many options though, Laurie.
Well, player-wise, they certainly do. You know, I've been watching them make their subs, and they just don't lose anything when they rotate their players.
So the three-point play to Nadine Payne puts Adelaide up by 1. Steph Brandt was once again spying on them, Steph.
You always make me sound so dodgy, Boydie, but Richard Dickel, unsurprisingly, sounds pretty happy. He wants more backdoor play happening on offense. He wants to utilise that low post to get the ball in down there. And, of course, he's aware of that rebounding imbalance, boxing out and get him on the boards.
17 to 11 it is at the moment, Bendigo's way. That's 17 rebounds to 11. Harrower, got to go. She does.
That is just so tough. She was up against one of the best defenders in the competition in Jenny Screen.
In the world.
In the world, that's right. Wow. That is just great. She doesn't shoot very many threes at all.
That's her third attempt for the year, Laurie.
Now we're seeing some basketball out there, Darren. That was a great pass by Kelly Wilson, somebody that knows how to pass into a big player.
Scores a level. This is wonderful stuff from these clubs as Marino steps out of bounds and just lets the team down a little bit.
That happens quite a bit on that baseline three-point area. With the new extension of the line, it's just automatic sometimes when they're trying to load up into their shot, they step out of bounds.
Harrower again.
Too easy.
The champ is putting on a clinic. She's got 9 points, 4 assists. We're not yet at half-time. They've got a 2-point buffer once more, Bendigo. Christy Harrower, 38 years of age. Going almost as well as ever as Nadine Payne shoots from deep. Can't get it to go. Screen, brilliant scrapping. Gave it to Foley, Hodges and one. That's what they needed.
They do. That's inspirational stuff. Just that fight, that getting that second effort stuff, getting that rebound, going straight back up. Now they're in an and-one situation.
And of course, if you're new to the game, what we mean is that when Laura Hodges was fouled in the act of shooting, she made the basket. She goes to the line for a bonus and tries to make a three-point play, and she does. So again, the lead changes. Just going to count it up. We've had just a bunch of lead changes in this quarter as these teams go basket for basket. Screen grabs a rebound. 7 lead changes already in the quarter.
Just get the sense, Darren. Oh, now that Christy's got this, I was just going to say that Adelaide have just toughened up a little bit. They look really gritty out there and really going hard and not going to stand back and take anything from Bendigo.
And why should they? When they've got players like Screen, Hodges, and here we go, Jess Foley it is, who has been around the league for so long, has been a star in a championship side, over 200 WNBL games. She's going to stand up to Christy Harrower and say, you know what, you're not going to score an easy layup on me.
That's right. And the other thing is, you never know how a team reacts under adversity. They lost Steph Talbot this week, so obviously everybody's going to be asked to step up. And some teams really respond to that. Some players respond to that. So we'll just see what happens.
Just as an aside, it's a it's a tough venue to play in now. They're really making some noise. I feel like winning the championship last year has woken up these home fans, and I don't mean any disrespect by that, Laurie. I just mean that they're inspired now. They know how good this team is. We came here the first half dozen years or so that they were in the league, and it could be a flat place to play at times. You knew that they loved their girls, but they didn't necessarily get into the game. Now they've got the horns and the hooters and the cheering and the theme song and everything. And they get behind their team constantly as...
Well, they want to see another championship come back here, Darren. It was fabulous last year for the grand final. The atmosphere, the way the whole town got behind the girls, and they want to see that repeated.
And their side are in the box seat. I read Christy Harrower's column in the Bendigo newspaper during the week, and she said there still seems to be a lot of people out there tipping Melbourne and Dandenong to win the title. Christy, who?
I thought the exact same thing, Darren. I was thinking, I don't know.
Who, Christy? She's as confused as we are.
I read that. I was very bemused when I thought that. I thought, there's not one person I talk to that think that.
Nobody, Christy. Yeah, we're talking to you. I know you're talking to the ref, but we're talking to you. But she's confused about this foul. She's slipped and has made very little contact, but...
she's just saying, ask the ABC.
Now she's talking, now she's pointing at us. As it is, Jenny Screen's on the line, and she's trying to double Adelaide's lead, which she does. But yes, I don't know anybody that's tipping Dandenong and Melbourne to win the championship, and that's no disrespect to them. It's just the fact that this Bendigo side are so good. Unless Stephanie Brand says, Steph, are you tipping Dandenong or Melbourne to win the championship?
Bendigo all the way, Gordy. I've got a very parochial home crowd behind me.
Kelsey Griffin down low, doesn't get the basket to go. Hodges wanted a travelling violation, wasn't forthcoming, and Griffin will go to the line with 100 seconds to go until half-time.
Great second, third, fourth efforts by Bendigo to come up with that. We said it before. You can really only give them one opportunity, otherwise they're gonna score. They're gonna find themselves at the line.
She misses with the first. Kelsey Griffin is going to have a chat to us post-game as well, Laurie. She's going to join us as we have a chat about, well, all sorts of things, but she's been a great player since she came into the league last year, Kelsey Griffin. 29 points, 10 rebounds against Adelaide last week. There's Marino again, almost coughs it up. Doesn't, able to get it back. A screen misses. That's a violation. It's going to be a Bendigo ball. Adelaide coach happy. They lead by 3.
Well, at one point, Darren, during this quarter, it seemed like baskets were hard to come by, and I was thinking it was going to be a bit of a defensive battle. And now I look up at the score, and it's 40-37.
And they're on similar pace to what they were last week, these two clubs. Oliver, in and out. Great block out there on that occasion by the player at the bottom of this pile, Angela Marino. Did really well. And it's, unfortunately for her, going to be a Bendigo ball. The possession arrow wasn't with them, but she did what was necessary on that occasion.
Tell you what, Darren, it feels like, well, I mean, this is an important game. There's no question about it. I mean, it's probably more so for Adelaide than Bendigo. Bendigo want to keep their momentum going and keep that top spot, but certainly for Adelaide, they're in a very tenuous position right now. But players are diving on the floor, putting their body on the line, and it's great to see.
And Oliver tried to charge through a gap. Watch this, and Hill and Hodges both moved to bump her, and it was Laura Hodges who was called for the foul. What'd you make of that, Laurie?
Oh, I think it was definitely a foul. No question about that.
Did look as though they stepped in and raised an elbow. I thought that she's probably...
One thing that helped was that Oliver was cutting really quickly, and that's something you have to do. You have to keep up your intensity and cut hard, cut to score, cut to draw the defenders.
Oliver with her first points for the game. Lovely pass again. Hodges doesn't miss many from there. under a minute to go until half-time. Adelaide have got 9 players on the score sheet, which is what you felt they needed to do to stay in contact with this Bendigo side as they able to win the ball down low. Foley's been brilliant at the defensive end.
Oh, she thought about that 2 or 3 times.
Here's Hodges.
Yes.
42-39, Adelaide in front with 30 seconds to go until the half. Hodges has got 10 points, the second leading scorer in the competition. Richards looks at Oliver, wants her left hand, gets it.
Nice.
Brilliant. Bendigo also have about 9 players on the score sheet as we get to the last play of the quarter with Marino turning the corner. It's a blocking foul. And she's going to go to the line and shoot a couple with 4.8 seconds to go until the major interval.
Well, you see that Jess Foley's come off.
Yeah, and Jessica Good is into the game for the last 5 seconds.
It's a good idea to take Jess Foley off. She's got 2 fouls, and you just hate to see her get a 3rd one in these last 5 seconds.
So interesting stuff. Good stuff from Richard Dickel. He's absolutely switched on as there's another foul. There's a timeout called, in fact, by Bernie Harrower.
Again, I think that's a great timeout. 5 seconds to go. You might as well try and get a good shot to end the quarter.
It's enough time, isn't it? There's plenty of time, really, 5 seconds. Does this advance the ball?
No, that's only in the last quarter, not now.
Let's see if we can run this at them. Let's start it here in a stack. Sarah, you come in for Gabe. Sarah, come in for Gabe. Let's see if we can run it at them. They might have somebody back. If they do, I want you two to be the runners, you're the passer. If they go zone, if they all run back, let's start here, lead up over half court, get it, and try to get a shot up. Okay, you'll have time and try to get into somebody's body. Yeah. In the front. So Sarah, you'll turn and go that way. Kelsey, you'll turn and go that way. Okay, and that leaves. Yeah. See what we get? We've got 4 seconds.
Well, I don't really know what they're doing, but I think the girls do. I'm sure it's something they've practiced in training.
Well, you do. You practice this scenario in case, this is the end of a game and you need to get a shot up.
So Oliver will be the inbounder. You got Blitzarves, Harrower, about half court, and Kelly Wilson will bring it up. She might just pull up and shoot it. They go straight in. That is very nearly the perfect play for the Bendigo Spirit to end the half. Kelly Wilson got a great shot, but it just missed. And so the Adelaide Lightning go into the major interval with a 3-point lead. Adelaide 44, Bendigo 41. The leading scorer for Adelaide, Laura Hodges, but it has been very much a team effort with them having had 9 players hitting the score sheet in that opening half. For the Bendigo Spirit, well, similarly, they have had around about 9 players hit the score sheet as Laurie Chiswick is ready with Laura Hodges of the Lightning.
Laura, great first half. It seemed that you guys started off really quickly, then Bendigo got it back. You guys were behind a bit, and then you guys really dug in.
Yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride at the moment, and I think where we're struggling is they're getting the offensive rebounds, which is keeping them in the game. So we need to really focus and sort of get 5 people on the boards.
It seems like your matchup zones sort of slowed them down a little bit.
Yeah, it has, and I think it's probably created a little bit, but then they've coughed up the ball a few times as well. So see how that keeps going.
Yourself, you've got 10 points, feeling pretty good out there?
Yeah, it's a bit of an up and down game, and I think it's a little bit scrappy for both teams, but hopefully we can probably play better basketball in the second half.
Thanks. Good luck for the second half.
Thank you. Bye.
I don't care what you do. She said she in love with you, but I know the devil wears 1,000 faces. So are you telling me that you found love truly, but let go?
Coming up on post-game, we find out what drives league veteran Jess Foley. US import Kelsey Griffin stops by to talk about her WNBA career and her love for Australia. And also we'll take an in-depth look at the key players making waves in our nation's capital. All that and plenty more on a jam-packed edition of post-game.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Always a heap to talk about after the match, Laurie Chiswick. But let's look at these halftime stats. Possibly an unexpected scoreline to start with.
Well, absolutely. And as Laura Hodge says, it has been a real roller coaster. The lead changed lots of times. One of the things, Steph, is that we've talked about is the offensive rebounding. But look how well Adelaide are shooting those free throws. 13 from 14, and they've gotten themselves to the line, and they need to continue to do so.
Yeah, that's really helped them. Let's take a look at the individual team stats. Bendigo Spirit, we've spoken time and time again about how important Christy Harrow is to this team. Gabe Richards also contributing hugely on the board.
Well, Gabe Richard probably could be up around the 16, 18 mark. She missed a few inside, but I like the way they keep going at her. And offensive rebounding, they're all contributing. The likes of Christy Harrower, Kelly Wilson, they need to keep pushing that ball and looking for their perimeter shots.
And for the Lightning, a good spread of scorers there. Laura Hodges getting inside, down and under really well.
I like the fact that they've got a spread of scorers. They've got the ball in different people's hands. Different people at times are penetrating. Laura Hodge is a good focus for them, and we know that she will, but Jess Foley having 7 points is a good sign for them.
Indeed, and plenty to like about the Lightning in this first half. The second quarter, we saw it start off actually with Laura Mansfield. It was a really sweet little reverse layup. But as you said, they've had a lot. They've been really fighting in this quarter.
Well, I thought that it was going to be a defensive battle for a while. Both teams struggled to find the ring. But then all of a sudden, it just seemed to me that Adelaide lifted their intensity defensively and were able to create some good shots offensively. And that's exactly what Coach Dickel wanted. That pass inside, and that happened twice to Laura Hodge, where she just finished superbly, and then Jess Foley lighting it up from the outside.
And we've really seen in the past, although we spoke about the fact that in the 3 meetings, including today in this season, it's been Bendigo that's come out on top, but Adelaide can really match them physically. It's not showing on their offensive boards, but they're really matching them for height and for strength.
Well, they certainly are, and especially without Steph Talbot, who we know would be able to match up on a big player. I think Adelaide are doing an exceptional job of rotating their players, getting different bodies in. Somebody's got to stop Christy Harrower having that free reign to the basket, though, because she'll take advantage of that every single time.
Well, Laura, you're the super coach. How do you stop Christy Harrower?
Well, look, that's why she's arguably one of the best point guards in the world. She just reads the game so brilliantly. And if there's a little gap, she knows to take it. She can change direction. She can change speed, and she's a pretty good player.
Yeah, fortuitously, she's managing to put a smile on Bernie Harrow's face today because he's looked quite tense at times. Let's look at someone else who's having a very big day in the Bendigo Spirit, and a 250th game for Kelly Wilson.
What a fantastic achievement for Kelly with this team. She's been to a few clubs, but I think she's played almost 100 games now with Bendigo, and she is such an integral part. I just think that the relationship that her and Christy Harrower have on the court, Kelly can bring the ball up if Christy needs a bit of a break. They read each other well. The thing I like about Kelly, that she's developed her game not just as a shooter now. She's got some serious jets. We see her going to the basket there. She can turn it on. She's explosive. So now you have to guard her perimeter game, and you need to be able to take away that dribble penetration.
And how much of that has been a result of what you said her progress was internationally?
Oh, I think it's, you know, she herself admits that it came very late in her career and was really excited about it, but I can't help but think that playing against world-class players, training against world-class players, has increased her confidence, and Brendan Joyce gave her the confidence to say, you can do it out there, shoot the ball, drive it in, great defender, and I think that's helped her game a lot.
Sure has, and she's looking great out there for the Spirit. Let's go to the other end of the floor. The Adelaide Lightning, we've said they're missing one of their star players, Steph Talbot. How much of a difference do you think it's made today, Laurie?
Well, it's hard to say because I think the players have stepped up in her absence, but she did injure her knee at training. We've been told that it's a posterior capsule that she's damaged, compressed it, and that it's not an injury that requires surgery, but just time to heal. So she'll be out till probably maybe even the end of February, or sorry, end of January, beginning of February. The thing about Steph is she's so versatile. She can play the 2 to the 4 spot. She's got great lateral movement, so she's a good defender, can defend the likes of Jenna O'Haig, Kelsey Griffin today. So certainly they'll be missing her, but I've been impressed how the players have rallied round and stepped up in her absence.
Yeah, they really would, and Richard Dickel would be so impressed with how they go into this break. What are you expecting from this second half, Laurie?
Well,
Put your coach's hat on. What's being said?
Like I said in the first half, I like the way Adelaide are changing up their defense, and I think they still need to do that because Bendigo are such a team-oriented group that if they get in their comfort zone and it can move the ball around, so they need to continue to be disruptive. Bendigo on the other end, I think they need to pick up their defense. They're known as a defensive unit. They have to, I'm sure Bernie will be talking about it, just that little bit of extra effort up there to be disruptive, to come up with a turnover, to come up with you know, get a hand in the lane, get a hand in the passing lane, just again to become disruptive with Adelaide.
Well, we're going to find out what happens in that second half. But we've spoken about the stars on the court, and you can't talk about Adelaide without discussing Jess Foley, of course. We're going to have a look at her in detail in the post-game show, but it's wonderful to see her back in Adelaide colours. A few thought she was going to hang up the boots after her stellar season with Townsville Fire last year. They thought she was going to leave to go and study medicine. She is studying medicine, but there's a lot more basketball left in the future. Dr. Foley, here's a taster of what's to come.
The retirement is a bit of a contentious issue from last year, and I can completely understand why a lot of people thought I was retiring. I had a press conference up in Townsville and said that I'd be finishing up with Townsville. Some people misunderstood that I was retiring, so don't blame Christy Harrower at all for you know, congratulating me on my career after the WNBL Grand Final, but yeah, certainly not retiring yet.
Hold your head up high. The Townsville community is proud of you guys, and congratulations to Jess Foley on a wonderful career.
The retirement talk possibly did cost me a spot in the Opals lineup for this year. I did speak to Brendan Joyce, and I'd missed a couple of camps simply because I wasn't in the squad, but I've also had a really busy off-season, so you know, I'm not sure that I would have even made a final list for the Opals selection anyway.
So we are going to be chatting a bit more, hearing a bit more from Jessica Foley as we've got there. What's up, Doc? The soon-to-be Dr. Foley. Kelsey Griffin, the Bendigo star, will join us live, and we will take an in-depth look at the Canberra Capitals, who are improving sharply, Laurie. Not just their big three, Natty Hurst, Abby Bishop and Jessica Bibby, but also Alex Bunton and Carly Miovic, the Twin Towers, the young Twin Towers, as the players are coming back on the court. That there is the form of Shea Shigog. And if you haven't heard of her, you're probably not the only one. The 21-year-old American has only just arrived in Australia. She flew into Melbourne yesterday. She was recruited by the Connecticut Sun in the WNBA competition a couple of seasons ago, and she's a talented junior, and she's going to be suiting up, or she's already suited up for the Adelaide Lightning. She's not actually able to play today, but they are going to be trying to fit her into their lineup for the rest of the season. When Stephanie Talbot went down injured, Richard Dickel got sent out the bat signal, and he tried to find a replacement, somebody that could step into their lineup for the rest of the year, and Shea Shigog is who he came up with.
Well, Darren, again, that's a great pickup for them, and but I'm just a little bit bemused. Again, when Peter Buckle was sacked, one of the stories I read was that it was maybe a money issue and that they were losing money. We know that they had to pay Bucks out because of his contract. They obviously still have to pay Steph Talbot, even though she's injured. And now they're able to get another import. So, interesting times.
It is. It's certainly is for the Adelaide Lightning. There's no doubt about it. Richard Dickel has had to step across from the men's team, the Adelaide 36ers, as an assistant to coaching the WNBL club. He looks a little bit perturbed, I think, about the fact that Bendigo were very late out onto court. They actually stepped out with only about 30 seconds left on the clock as it counted down, and they didn't suffer a penalty for being out on court a few seconds late. So perhaps he's a little bit upset by that. Oh, Stewart blocks the shot. Things are going well for this Adelaide Lightning side. There's still a lot of work to do, but they are a resilient club. We saw them, it was about 5 weeks ago, I think, Laurie, on the back end of a doubleheader. They'd lost in Canberra on the Friday night, and they lost Jenny Screen to injury. Yep. So they stepped up and they beat the Sydney Uni Flames, as Azonia Stewart has made a couple of big plays here. She's knocked that one out of court and killed the momentum. They won that day under duress. Then, the week after Peter Buckle gets sacked, they beat Townsville again under duress. And here they are again, having lost one of their starters, and they're firing on all cylinders.
Well, that's what I talked about. How does a team handle adversity? Do you step up, or do you fall deeper into a hole? And you'd have to say that Adelaide seemed to handle it quite well.
Which, as we've said, when you've got leaders of the calibre of Foley, Screen and Hodges, you would expect that they would do that. And Joe Hill, of course, can't forget her. Hodges copping a buffeting inside, can't finish, and Bendigo again come up with the rebound. 23 rebounds to 18. Bendigo's way. Shocking pass from Penaluna.
They were looking at the high-low action. Not quite sure if she thought Gabe could jump or just lost the handles on the pass.
If she was throwing it to herself, she might have been able to leap up and clutch it, but Gabe Richards not as tall and not quite as athletic as Elise Penaluna down low. Wilson pesters Marino all the way up the floor. Adelaide lead by 3. Foley tries to rip it past Griffin, can't do it. And then turns it over again.
That's good team defense by Bendigo, stopping that middle penetration.
It's what they're noted for. They concede just 62.6 points per game on average. It's just extraordinarily low.
Christy knows she's got Screeny's number today. That's the 3rd time she's driven by her.
Cuts the margin to 1. Here's Marino. She dribbles in and out. Foley tries to turn the corner, gets it slapped by Harrower. Fast break opportunity. They decide not to take it. Wilson, wide open. Bang! They're in front. And I think this is as good a time as any to cross down to the Bendigo bench, where Chantella Pereira has been good enough to join us. Chantella, I'm not sure how you can hear us. It's a boisterous crowd we've got in here today.
Yeah, it's pretty loud out here, but it's a great atmosphere, and we're trying to get the energy up because we're a bit flat in the first half, so we're just trying to get up our energy and be as loud as we can.
7 unanswered points since Zania Stewart started the scoring in this second half. Your tails are up again a little bit. What was Bernie's message at halftime?
Just really focus on defense. You know, they scored 27 points in the second quarter, and that's way too much for us and any team, and basically we need to shut down, and we're doing a much better job right now.
Chantella, did that matchup zone slow you down a little bit in the first half, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. We didn't move the ball as well as we wanted to, but I think we still scored 25 for the quarter, but I think our focus just really needed to be on defense, but you know, maybe that quick offense wasn't helping us on defense, and we weren't getting the stops we wanted.
All right, thank you very much, Chantella. We'll check in with you a little bit later on. Appreciate your insights.
Christy Harrow is going to work out there.
No, she is. She's got 13 points, leads all scorers. She's got half a dozen assists as well. Stewart. Oh!
The whole Bendigo bench is on their feet.
Griffin says no.
Play of the day?
No, maybe.
Play of the day or spray of the day?
Whilst we were admiring the rebound, the block shot, Adelaide were able to score, and sometimes that's the danger with a spectacular block like that. If you just swat it out of court, the other side just gets it back and they can run a fresh play.
You have to say, Gabe Richards is not finishing as well as she normally would this game. She's working hard to get position, just not finishing. And that could be the result of some good D by Adelaide, from Stewart, from Hodge.
Arrow again penetrating and causing all sorts of difficulties. This time she'll take herself to the line. And that is 3 fouls to Foley, which is a minor concern for Adelaide. Still plenty of time left in this game. She's a veteran player. She'll be able to play with that pressure, but players from both sides getting a little bit frustrated with the referees. And to be honest, Laurie, it's been a bit of a theme at times this year. And maybe it's just that the players and coaches are a little bit crankier this year than normal. But it has been a little bit of a theme. I'm sure that players and officials are working to try and rectify to make sure that everyone's on the same page, because it's not a great look. Sometimes we can have a bit of fun with it, but it's not a great look as Griffin again with another big defensive play, strips it away. Now down low.
She is so athletic, Kelsey.
Not putting up big scoring stats today, but she's involved here. She grabbed a rebound and then tried to put it up all in one motion. And now she tries to slap it back, just a little bit, well, certainly frenetic. Maybe a little bit out of control, perhaps trying to do a little bit too much there, Kelsey Griffin. And Adelaide have the chance to show some poise and cut this 4-point deficit they currently find themselves with. Marino short. One of the rare occasions where Bendigo didn't box out particularly well, but they still end up with the ball. Well done by Jenny Screen, and there's a foul called on her, unfortunately. Well, I thought she did all right. She just ran in the right place to cut Griffin's run off and stop her making a big target down low. And instead, she was called for the foul. As halfway through this third quarter, we have a timeout called. Adelaide trailing by 4. We're going to listen to their coach.
Hey, one thing I want to say. Frig the referees. Don't worry about that. You just keep playing hard. You keep boxing out. Don't react to the referees. All right, we need to... Remember we spoke in the change room about worrying about ourselves? Let's just go out and worry about ourselves. All right? Hey, get ball movement, get the ball out of your hands, just run into motion. Get some ball movement from side to side, look to be aggressive. Keep being aggressive at the hoop. They can't not call the fouls all day. Keep being aggressive at the hoop. They've missed 3 down there on reaches. You keep being aggressive. Don't stop because we don't get a couple of calls. Stick to our game plan. Let's go.
Well, just to, I guess, just support the point that I just made a moment ago. They are worried about the referees.
Well, that was funny because he said, let's not focus on the referees. And then
He did.
That's what his whole timeout was about, talking about the referees. But not really talking about them, but saying how they wanted to ignore them, keep being aggressive. Good message. They need to keep to their game plan.
There is Kelsey Griffin, 3 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 steals as well. Just shows, I mean, it's a good lesson for anyone, Laurie. Even if you're not putting up big numbers, you can influence a game in so many ways.
That's what I look at Jess Foley, sitting on the bench right now. She only has 7 points, but I think she's had a massive influence on this game.
Yeah, 5 rebounds, a couple of assists, as well as her defensive presence, and they'll miss her.
They're jamming and going under. Christy Harrow is going to nail that.
18 points for Christy.
Just a quiet 18.
At 58%, could she be back in her absolute best shooting form after this effort today? If so, look out competition. 3 seconds on the shot clock and pain travels.
The thing about Christy is she is such a winner. She just knows how to win games. She's such a competitor. She gets on to her teammates if they're not doing the right thing.
Yeah, her season high, Laurie, is just 19 points, Christy, so she's got 18 today, and we've still got 14 minutes to go. Why doesn't she pass it here? No, not quite. Oh, Griffin kept it alive, and it's going to be a white ball. It's Adelaide's way. And this has been a brilliant third quarter from Adelaide. From Bendigo. I'm sorry. 14-4. They wanted to focus on defense, and that's what they've done. They've kept Adelaide. They've kept up their scoring pace at almost identical levels to the first half, but they've kept Adelaide to just 4 points in 6 minutes. Oh, Mansfield bounces it off her foot and out of court. That's unfortunate for the Lightning. Another turnover.
One thing you look at
Bendigo's
13
for the game.
Sorry, Bendigo's lineup is that they're going to do, and even Adelaide to an extent, but they're going to do a lot of switching. So but they don't lose anything. Sarah Blickovs, Chelsea's, Kelly Wilson can defend a bigger player as well. They have that luxury, they can switch everything.
Here is Kelsey Griffin again. She had Chelsea Obrey as an option, instead found Wilson. So easy. And Marino's got no help here. They eventually work it out.
That's that explosive step that I talked about at halftime with Kelsey, with Kelly, that she's developed in her game. She's not just a shooter. She can get to the rack now, and that just demonstrated her quickness.
They got Kelly, Kelsey, Chelsea, and Christie on court at the moment. And that was Hodges. Kelsey Griffin grabbed the rebound. 8 for her in that category. 26-19 in Bendigo's favour. And that rebounding dominance continues to be a factor. Skip pass for Blitzarves, whose parents are here watching today. Griffin inside.
That was a great read by Sarah, that pass, because there was a true mismatch out there with Kelsey Griffin and Lauren Mansfield, and it was good recognition.
And Griffin again.
She can dunk it.
This run is 20 points to 2. This is reminiscent of the second semi last year, Laurie, when they were challenged by the Dandenong Rangers, who were the second best team in the competition at that point, the defending champions, and they just annihilated them after halftime. Coming out, and I'm just looking it up, I think it was an 19-0 run. And this is similar, 20-2. Since Adelaide scored the first basket of this half.
I just love the way they've responded to whatever Bernie talked about and said at halftime, how they've just come out a different team.
And Sarah Blitzarves travelling there. Her mum and dad watching on. Her mother was Australian player.
Oh, she had the best jump shot, Karen.
Karen Ogden.
Augie, we called her.
Yep.
In fact, I coached her.
And her father also played basketball for Australia, as there's a foul on Sarah.
Andy Blickovs, and he's, both great pedigree for Sarah. And her brothers.
And, yeah, and their brothers are, well, I'm sure most people in Victoria have heard of her brother, who played for Geelong in the AFL this year. And here's Adelaide trying desperately to break this run. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Stewart under all sorts of pressure, and she walked. And that just goes to show, I mean, I know that she's a champion, but Christy Harrower, what role a point guard, a 163-centimetre player can do to stop a 193-centimetre giant? Just pester her.
Oh,
if she puts the ball on the ground, just go and worry her. The champ has a rest. 18 points, 6 assists.
I love the way the crowd really got on their feet and clapped that last defensive play phase there. They appreciate good basketball. They appreciate both defense and offense.
Blitzarves. How pretty is that to watch? As Jane Chalmers comes in, and now the whole team's into it. Jane Chalmers has been part of this franchise since they came into the league 7 seasons ago. She doesn't get a lot of court time, but when she does, boy, she just hassles and harasses and does everything that you would expect of a backup point guard. Look at her doggedly chasing Lauren Mansfield. Now she's trapped down low in a mismatch, but they can't get the ball to her opponent.
Great help defense, wow.
And Lewis travels again, another turnover. 16 turnovers now to Adelaide, just 7 to Bendigo.
What's so fun to see from Bendigo's point of view is that they're not just, becoming complacent right now as Bernie after that first spray, but like you said, they're into it. The team's into it. The bench players are into it. They're working hard. They're playing as a team.
Shot clock winding down. Griffin off target. Blitzarves! Oh, yes!
I think Sarah's really enjoying her Bendigo experience. The teammate, she said she loves her teammate. She loves the style of play that she's learning a lot. It's fantastic for her development.
She was part of the Dandenong Rangers side last year and blew us away at the start of the season. She came out and was dominant and continued that form. When she is shooting the ball well, she's impossible to stop with her athleticism. And she was part of the emerging Opals team that went to the World Uni Games and won a medal in July this year. She's got such a bright future ahead of her.
Well, when I had her in our under-20, she was the MVP of the grand final and was just so athletic.
Chalmers, 3 seconds on the game clock as we count down to three-quarter time. And this Bendigo crowd should stand and applaud their team, because that third quarter has won them the game and again demonstrated to the competition why this team are the championship favourites. They trailed by 3 at half-time, and in that quarter it was Bendigo 24 to Adelaide 4, and they've taken this game away from the Lightning.
Like the city that nurtured my greed and my pride, I stretched my arms into the sky. I cried, Babel, Babel, look at me now. The walls of my town, they come.
10 of 15 field goals for the quarter for the Bendigo Spirit. The Adelaide Lightning committed 7 turnovers. The rebounding dominance continued for Bendigo, and that was a powerful statement, Loz.
Well, everything went Bendigo's way, and just the fact that they were able to force the Lightning into 3 or 4 traveling turnovers just because they had nowhere to go on that crushing defense that Bendigo was playing. To me, that's one of the telling statistics, is the turnovers.
Without a doubt, and it's players that you wouldn't expect to really be committing them. Amy Lewis has got a handful, and Jess Foley with a couple as well. Their pressure is simply superb. What is it about their defense that is so good, Laurie?
Well, I think it's just team defense, Darren. They're committed to helping their teammate. They're great at rotations, and they're committed to doing it. And so when that happens, and there was that block from Kelsey Griffin, potentially play of the day,
which ended up costing her team 2 points after that, but it doesn't matter.
Let them celebrate a little bit, but you know, Christy Harrower, when your defense steps up, things happen offensively. Christy Harrower found some open looks to the basket, athleticism by Sarah Blicksaws, just contributors all over the court, and they look like they are having fun out there right now.
Sarah Blitzar's close to the end of the quarter with the basket. She has got half a dozen points. Was that the play of the day? The offensive rebound and put back? Was it Kelsey Griffin with the block shot? Or perhaps it was Bernie Harrell with the spray of the day early on in the game. Who knows? Tell us your thoughts on Twitter at ABC WNBL, as Adelaide can't do anything right at the moment. An offensive foul call. Laurie, put your coaching hat back on again, and you've got the white shorts on. You're coaching Adelaide here today. What are you doing? What would Richard Dickel have told his team at three-quarter time?
Well, I guess he's got to, we can see that they've gone into that matchup zone. They're trying to trap aggressively. Try to do something different, which is what you've got to do. Maybe he's just trying to see. He's very unhappy with that call. Again, you've just got to get on with it. They're not going to change their minds. See if you can slow the bleeding down. See if you can, you know, create some things from your defense so that you get some easy baskets. Because right now in the quarter court game, Bendigo's defense is smothering.
At what point does he start to think about tomorrow? Because they've got a critical game as Kelly Wilson. Beautiful. That is champagne basketball.
And that is Bendigo basketball. Penetrate Chelsea Aubrey in the corner. We know we've seen her win a game from that shot.
Chelsea Aubrey up to 5 points. The assist from Wilson was superb as another turnover from Joe
3 on
Hill.
2.
Chalmers on the perimeter, if you don't mind. Not quite. Screen grabs a rebound. But just to go back to what I was discussing, we were discussing a moment ago, they've got a massive game tomorrow. They play the Melbourne Boomers. They played them a couple of weeks ago and they were embarrassed. It cost, or was one of the things that cost Peter Buckle his job as the coach, as Hodges cleans up the mess and gets their first basket for a long, long time, at least 7 or 8 minutes of play, Adelaide. But, Laurie, what time does he start thinking about it?
Well, I think really around, if it's a 20-point margin with 5 minutes to go, I think you've got to realize that, and you're not, the momentum's not going with you at all, like it isn't right now. I think then you have to really seriously consider, look, this game's done, we need to think about tomorrow.
Joe Hill fell over and got up okay, which is good to see. A bit concerned, she went down with a frown on her face. Griffin, not quite. Screen kept it alive, well done by Hill. The Hodges basket snapped a run of 17 unanswered points from Adelaide, from Bendigo rather. She's just ripped this game away from the Lightning. Mansfield does well, and they get back-to-back baskets for the first time since the second quarter.
You know, Darren, we talked in one of our broadcasts about the depths of the teams, and that certainly Adelaide was one of the teams that had that depth, and that if they did get an injury, they should be able to cover for it. Well, you know, that might take time. Steph Talbot just went down this week. Add to that a new coach and a new structure. So they may be a little it is. They may be a little disjointed for this week. They've got to bring in a new import next week. So, you know, I guess what they'd be looking at is to once Shea, is that her name? Shea gets into the rotation and the lineup, they'll become more settled. But meantime, every game counts. Unfortunately, it's so tight. As we said, you know, if they drop 2 this weekend, they could go down to 7th.
It's got to go up here from Aubrey. 2 seconds on the shot clock. Stewart threw it away. Well done by Lightning. They've got to get this back. They do.
Yeah.
They do. You're right, Laurie. They could tumble to 7th. And one of the games to come, we would expect that Townsville will beat the West Coast Waves tonight. West Coast have lost 10 in a row. They've got injury problems and are really disappointingly not playing great basketball at the moment after starting the season really well. So you'd expect that Townsville will stay in the top 4 with a win tonight. But Canberra and Sydney Uni is a massive game tonight. And as we see another foul called here, Canberra and Sydney Uni can, whoever wins that game, as I just turn to the ladder in my book here, whoever wins that game will be a chance to go ahead of Adelaide on the ladder this weekend. So it's going to be interesting. The season is poised wonderfully well, and Adelaide's next few weeks are tough. They've got Melbourne tomorrow, Sydney Uni next week, the Melbourne Boomers again after that, and then the Townsville Fire. So all teams that are around them or slightly above them on the ladder as Marino hits the deck after connecting on a 3-point basket. And Adelaide has scored the last 7. They're continuing to show fight.
Well, that's it. Now you go, it's a 12-point game. That's still lots of time left. Get it under 10 with, you know, 5 minutes to go. And yes, you're playing that game to win it.
Wilson to snuff out their hopes, perhaps. In game 2, 50, the little dynamo reaches double figures. She's got a dozen, Wilson.
That was a good drive by Jess Foley, recognizing that the defense was back but not set and ready to play. So she took that opportunity to drive it in and was fouled.
We'll be hearing more from Jess Foley in our post-game show, an interview we recorded during the week. Hear all about her studies in medicine, her future in the game, her past in the game. She's been a wonderful player in this league. She spent years in America as well, playing at Duke University, perhaps the most storied university in basketball history. Coach Kay in charge of the men's program. The women, who of course is the American national team coach as well, and the women's program has been extremely successful as well. Inside go Bendigo again to Penaluna.
Sorry, Darren, I was just watching that offensive movement by Bendigo, and it was just so smooth. They all knew exactly where they were going, and they knew the end result was going to be a high-low look inside.
Foley is now out of the game. Well, I must admit, that did sneak up on me with a couple of quick fouls in this last quarter. So she's gone. She's got 9 points, 5 fouls, out of the game, according to our
snuck
stat
up
sheet.
to me as well.
We knew she had 3. We mentioned that with a few minutes to go in the third, but this is really going to hamstring Adelaide's
rotation
chance.
is just unbelievable.
The defensive rotation Laurie's talking about as Marino charges in, hits the deck once more. She'll earn herself a trip to the line.
Just that scramble defense where you can back yourself to go out on somebody knowing that there's going to be another rotation behind you.
Difficult adjustment for that man coming into the league on very short notice. Take control of this team. Angela Marino on the line, whose father is the owner of this club and pulls the strings with all the management decisions, and this year they're forging closer links once more with the Adelaide 36ers.
That's an interesting topic in itself, Darren, to look at, player-coach relationships when the private ownership involves family, or what about next season if Kath McLeod plays and Mark Wright is her grandfather?
I know. And what about Christy Harrower and Bernie Harrower?
Exactly. So it's an interesting dynamic.
And Jonathan Goodman also on screen.
That's right.
Whose wife is Elise Penaluna, who is on court at the moment. So it's all family connections here in Bendigo. We joke about Tasmania. It's it's the Bendigo Spirit, I think, who takes the mantle in this competition for the most family connections. And Kelly Wilson's sister, of course, has been on the team for a long time. She's sitting on the end of the bench, not suited up today. She's the 13th player for the Bendigo Spirit, is Andrea Wilson. Just the girl on the left of screen there, that is Andrea Wilson. So it's definitely a lot of family connections. Lewis, off target. Aubrey rips it clear and another foul called. We've seen a lot of fouls called today, and we've still got 5 minutes to go. The way we're going, we might have a slightly abridged post-game show, Laurie. Bendigo lead by a dozen. They've won a club record 9 games in a row. This looks likely to be number 10. They've won 14 games in a row in this venue. As Harrower gives it up to Penaluna for 3. It's off target. It spills out of court. It's going to be a Bendigo ball, and Adelaide can't believe it. Richard Dickel, for all his pleadings to let the referees be, is showing his disdain demonstrably. And I wonder if he'll focus on the refs to get in this timeout. 5 minutes to go in the game.
All right, that was good last time. Hey, down there on the offense, let's go. Hey, Petaluna's still on. Let's go 41 with you in for a start, all right? 41. Remember our weak side cuts, all right? Remember our screens up, all right? Keep being aggressive at the hoop. Defensively, let's go thumb 2. Thumb 2 each time we score, okay? If not, pick up man to man.
All right. We have to be up the floor a little bit, like when on a missed basket.
Last time I was back, my second line.
No, you take the point. You 2 in the second row. You in the middle, you at the back.
Right, keep fighting, keep fighting. No, Gabe's on first too when she comes back.
Angela Marino on screen. Returns to take her place. We heard Jenny scream as the team broke. Keep fighting was the urging.
Well, you know, Darren, it's 12 points. If they get a stop here and all of a sudden shot a 3 and back to 9, then it's the scoreboard pressure begins to have some effect.
You're absolutely right. And they've come back from deficits before. We've seen that. In fact, that game against Sydney, it was always a tough one for them, but The worry
But when
is...
you've got somebody like Christy Harrower running the show out there and really deciding when she will score.
The best closer in the league. She's got a season high 20 points today, does Christy. Payne, offensive foul. I reckon we might be looking at the person you're going to be interviewing first up after the final buzzer, Laurie. Not to preempt, not to step on your toes at all. Oh, you've just scribbled a name in your book. Controversial.
Well, it is. It's a tough one.
They trap Kelly Wilson at half court and they force a steal, force a turnover. So well done to Adelaide. Bernie Harrower demands a lot of his team. And rightly so. The defending champions know that they've got to keep their level at or above where it was last year if they're to repeat. And to be honest, they've been better this year. Statistically, they're averaging more points. They're conceding less points. They're averaging more rebounds. They're shooting it better. They're winning just as many games. Adelaide continue the trap on the back of that Jenny Screen three-point shot. Can Adelaide get another stop here and make things interesting? They do. So things getting a little bit erratic from Bendigo. This
Just their
pressure. This isn't a coronation. This is not a coronation. They've got to play this out until the final siren. 3.5 minutes to go. Hodges has only got 2 points in the second half. She's camped out at the perimeter. They've got to get her down low, and she bounces this one off her leg, and she tried to take on Penaluna and failed.
Melbourne Boomers would be watching this game with interest, knowing that they play them tomorrow after they play Dandenong tonight. So they'll be happy that it's close and the starters are having to play bigger minutes.
Well, they've got less time to recover, obviously. As you've said, they've got that potential war coming up against their crosstown rivals, the Dandenong Rangers, who comfortably defeated the Boomers when they played a few weeks ago. Another stop, just loose hands, sloppy stuff from Bendigo. And again, this is what happened last week when these two sides met. Bendigo had a commanding lead and let Adelaide back in. Marino's shot would have hurt had it gone in.
I just sense there's too much leadership for Bendigo on the floor. Too many smart heads, experienced heads.
Harrower draws a foul on Lewis. And she'll go to the line for a couple. And I reckon that's the difference, Laurie. The last 3 times down the court, the ball hasn't been in Christie's hands. On that occasion it was, and she just went straight in and drew a foul. So I thought, you know what, let's just relax.
I'll make the decision out here as to what's going to happen, whether I pass it, whether I drive it in. Get yourself to the line, Christie.
One of just 10 players in the competition's history to have more than 4,000 points. She's in an extraordinarily elite club. Over 300 games, a league MVP, a multiple champion. Looking to repeat. Her side leads by a dozen. We're about halfway through the season. And Bendigo on top of the ladder. Adelaide, Marino, lovely finish. Still a 10-point buffer, but the time is against them. Richards gives it up to Wilson.
She thought about it. Good decision.
Bendigo happy to let the clock run. Harrower misses on this occasion. Richards. They get a fresh 24. 34 rebounds to 26. Inside Penaluna. Timeout call by the Adelaide Lightning as Bendigo keep this 12-point lead. A minute 41 to go. It looks like a very tough ask for Richard Dickel's Chargers.
Early thumb on this, all right? I want the screen set here. I want you to set it. You set the screen on this, all right? See, you get down low. Laura, you get in here, all right? So, Ange, when you come off it, all right, look to turn the corner. If she helps, You're going to curl off this, pop in behind her, all right? Amy, you're in the other corner. You lift after Screeny pops in behind. All right, we need to be quick, sharp, every time, okay? Offensively, we're going to go in thumb 4 every possession, every score. Yeah, let's go.
Come on, let's go.
So, Richard Dickel hasn't given up here. Lewis, Hodges, Screen, Marino and Stewart are the 5 best he can put out on the floor at the moment, with Jess Foley having been disqualified from the game with 5 personal fouls. They've got Melbourne tomorrow, Sydney, Melbourne and Townsville in the lead up to Christmas. 4 tough games for this Adelaide side. For Bendigo, they've got Melbourne, Sydney and Dandenong in the lead up to Christmas. There aren't too many easy games this year. The competition is so tight. Griffin had a slap at Marino, and it'll send Angela Marino to the foul line. Adelaide point guard is top 10 in the league in assists. Her number's a little down this year in scoring, but she's in double figures today. She rattles that one home. She's one of so many players in the league who has to juggle professional employment as well as a basketball career. It's so tough for these athletes. They do a wonderful job, and Jenny Screen.
It's good to see Adelaide battling it out till the end. You know, a bit of full court pressure here.
The ball's in Harrower's hands as her side leads by 10. They've cut the margin, Adelaide, in this last quarter by 7, and they've kept Bendigo to just 10 points. But they've never really threatened in this set, well, in this last quarter at all. Harrower for 3. Oh, she's back, Loz.
She is certainly back.
7 assists. She's leading the league in assists, but it's been her shooting that's been a problem. But 24 points today is silencing the doubts in her mind.
And Darren, did you see? You know, she took a charge out there.
Yep.
She's not backing off with anything. She may be a little sore tomorrow. I'll have to ask her that.
She did look a little bit tired at one point in the last couple of minutes. 38 years of age. She's averaging 33 minutes per game, and so much for her team. Shot clock winds down, they throw it away. 22.9 seconds left on the clock. And
bit of a misread there. Gabe thought, or Kelsey was doing a curl cut, and Gabe didn't read that, and the ball went straight out of bounds.
Kelly Wilson goes to the bench in her 250th game. The crowd applaud. Bendigo with 5 turnovers in this last quarter, Laurie. It's been a bit sloppy from, let's be honest, I reckon everybody except for Christy Harrower on their side in this last quarter. Just generally, they haven't looked in sync. You felt like maybe they mentally switched off a little bit. They did the heavy lifting in that third quarter.
Yep.
They led by 17, and realistically, with their depth and potency, it was always going to be tough for Adelaide. So perhaps they have switched off as Tessa Lavey enters the game, as well as Maddie Garrick. A couple of the players being rewarded for their hard work during the week with some minutes late. And the Bendigo Spirit continue this brilliant run. Their club best winning streak continues. It extends to 10. They've won 15 on the trot at home, and this calendar year their record is 20 wins and just 2 losses, and they are looking so good, the Bendigo Spirit. Today they dispose of the Adelaide Lightning for the 3rd time this season by 13 points on this occasion, 78-65. Richard Dickel looks on. The Adelaide coach, he's got a lot of work left to do this weekend. His record as the head coach in this competition is 1-2. Today he couldn't get the job done. Laurie Chiswick is standing by with a very happy Bendigo player, Kelly Wilson.
Thanks, Darren. Yes, Kelly, first of all, congratulations on your 250th game. How great was it to play a game like this in front of your home crowd?
Yeah, thank you so much. It was amazing to get the 250, as you said, in front of the home crowd, which makes it that little bit more special.
a bit about the game. It was really up and down and the momentum swings, but you guys really won it in that third quarter.
Yeah, we like to say that the third quarter is our quarter, that we come out and really, you know, have a crack. And Bernie definitely wasn't happy with our first half efforts, so we needed to come out in the third quarter and get the job done, and thankfully we did.
Kelly, just quickly, has your Opals experience helped you with playing with Bendigo this year?
Oh, most definitely. I had an amazing experience with the Opals, like I've mentioned before, and I definitely think it's helped me, especially, you know, getting some international competition. It's been great for me.
Well, Kelly, it was great to see you play in that 200th game, and well done, and we hope to see many, many more.
Thank you very much, Laurie.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more, Loz. 28 years of age. She was the Rookie of the Year, the Betty Watson Rookie of the Year in this competition 10 years ago, and she's in career best form. Well done to Kelly Wilson. And well done also to this young lady, Loz. Christy Harrower, the champ, is standing by with you.
I'm glad you said young lady, Darren, because that's exactly the way Christy Harrower played today. Congratulations, Christy. What an amazing game. How did it feel out there?
You know, we struggled a lot in the first half, and we didn't play the way the Spirit can play, and we knew that, you know, after half-time we had to come out and really lift it, and Dad gave us a blast at half-time. The coach gave us a blast at half-time, and it just wasn't the way that we know that we can play. And, you know, for me, I've sort of really been struggling. I feel like individually been struggling this season with my shot, and I end up getting to the hoop and being a little bit more aggressive today, and it was a nice feeling.
Well, Christy, 24 points, 7 assists. Well done, and I think you can soundly say that your shooting is back.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there was a lot of layups in there, but you know, it was just nice to be aggressive, and great game by the girls in the second half.
I just have to add one thing very quickly. We'd like to know who it is that you think is tipping Dandenong and Melbourne, and not Bendigo to be the red-hot favourites, because we think that that's only you saying that.
Yeah, we like to play it down a little bit and be the underdogs all the time, and that's what we were last year. We won a championship, so hopefully that's the same this year.
Well done, Christy. Great game, and really good to watch you play.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's certainly not the ABC team that thinks they're the underdogs. Darren Boyd, fantastic effort from the Bendigo Spirit. They came out hard on D in the second half, and that third quarter, well, it was a Bendigo Spirit masterclass.
Well, it absolutely was, Steph. There's no doubt. 24 points to 4. I don't think we can say enough, really, how dominant their performance was in that third quarter. They let the foot off the gas pedal a little bit in the last term, but let's be honest, who can blame them? Adelaide did well. I mean, Adelaide, you know, credit to them. They fought the game out, but realistically, the Bendigo Spirit had that one in the bag.
Yeah, they sure did. Let's look at our play of the day, and you called it earlier as possibly being the spray of the day.
Well, yeah,
but
I'm not going to lie. I'm a bit disappointed in Sammy Morwood, our producer. I thought he might have picked out Bernie Harrower's spray, Loz.
No, but how about that for a block?
Well, yeah, Kelsey Griffin, athletic, just brilliant.
You know what? And blocking a shot like that is not easy. You really have to actually time it. So I think that's well-deserved a play of the day.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, let's look what's coming up in post-game. We find out what drives WNBL veteran Jess Foley. We'll have a chat to US import Kelsey Griffin. She's going to stop by and talk about her WNBA career and her love for Australia. We'll take an in-depth look at the key players making waves in the nation's capital. So we've got a heap to talk about on a jam-packed post-game today. So, guys, we've mentioned her a couple of times, Jess Foley. We saw a foul out in this last quarter, so not too much action in the final minutes here, but what an incredible player.
Oh, yeah, she's been a great player for so many years. She was part of the Adelaide Lightning's championship side, Laurie, back in 2008, and she was an all-star that year and went to Townsville, did some great things up there, and now she's back home.
And you know what? The thing I like about Jess is that she's got such a great basketball IQ. It doesn't surprise me at all that she's going into medicine, because she's a smart player. She's really deceptively strong out there, and she's had a wonderful career so far.
Yeah, she sure has, and she's been a tonic for Adelaide. Let's hear from the future Dr. Foley.
I grew up in a house where my mum's a nurse, my sister's also a nurse, and everyone always seemed to come around to our house, and Mum had, you know, medicines in the cupboard and, you know, a remedy for everything. So I grew up with that sort of willingness to help other people, and, you know, when someone has a problem, you just find a way to fix it. I was exposed to medicine a little bit when I went to Duke University in America, and Thought about studying medicine sort of following my time there, but continued with the basketball and got a little bit sidetracked along the way. And finally, a couple of years ago, I was working at a mine in North Queensland and wondering, where my next step would be coming from, and medicine just sort of kept popping back up in my mind. So I thought I'd go for it, apply, sit the test and see if I could get in, and here I am. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with medicine yet. There's so many options, there's so many interesting fields, and I haven't had enough exposure to all of those yet. But I'm certainly interested in sports medicine, and I think that GPs have a pretty good lifestyle, so that might be something that I look at, but yeah, a little bit too early to tell.
Cox kept it alive for Townsville.
I'm not doing much when I'm not playing basketball, training or studying. It's taking up a lot of my time currently, but I love hanging out with friends when I have the time, so it's really nice to be finished with studies for the moment, just so I can spend a little bit more time with my friends and teammates and get a life back.
Great stuff, Jess Foley. Wonderful play. Great backdoor cut from Jess Foley again.
Last year at the Fire was an amazing experience. I don't think anyone really expected us to go all the way to the grand final. And we certainly believed that we could, but it was amazing to come to Adelaide and beat Adelaide, who were right at the top of their game, then to go to Dandenong and beat what was just an absolutely star-studded team. So we felt like, we did such a terrific job and played together as a team, and we did sort of, fall at the last hurdle, and I think we went into that Bendigo game and we didn't quite have the energy and the intensity that we'd brought to the two previous games, and certainly Bendigo were a very worthy winner last year. They're a terrific team, but it was just one of those tough losses, and they only really make you better for the next time you're in that situation. You can take a lot out of a loss. You usually don't take that much out of a win. But I'm super proud of what we did and what we accomplished in the final series last year. I love playing in the big games. If you're not playing for finals and not playing for those big occasions, I'm not sure why you're out there, because we're all playing to make finals, and I find it really disappointing if you're not there when it really matters. I had a few chats with Chris Lucas towards the end of my time up in Townsville, and of course I think he would have liked to still have me up there this year, and I would love to play for him again. But the situation is what it is, and I think he's done pretty well getting Susie Batkovic in the off season, so I'm sure he's not missing me too much.
That is simple. Jump to the ball, get there. Get there. Do the little things.
Losing Bucks was definitely a big surprise for all of the girls, and leading into such a big game against a team like Townsville, it was very distracting, but we really enjoyed our time under Bucks, and I think we learned so much. He's a terrific coach, and the people that you meet along the way through sport, that's what makes it so special. So that's probably why I continue to play. When I think about my time at Duke University, it is the fondest memories of basketball and of schooling that I think I have spanning back through my basketball career. It was just an unbelievable experience, and to go to such a prestigious school with fantastic people, and to play in 2 Final Fours, to play in a championship game, they're the memories that I'll never forget, and certainly they're the most fond memories I have from my time playing basketball. I'm not sure when I'll retire, and I think it will basically come down to how much time medicine is taking up from me, and whether it's even possible that I can continue playing. But certainly at the moment I'm enjoying my basketball, so no retirement plans just yet.
That's great to hear. Jess Foley saying she has no retirement plans. We're certainly enjoying seeing her back in Adelaide Lightning colours. We'd love to see her back in the green and gold, of course, and while we wish her all the very best for her medicine studies, we certainly want to keep her playing for a very long time. Let's switch our focus now to the Bendigo Spirit, and I think it's pretty fair to say that the Spirit and Kelsey Griffin have been pretty good for each other, and we're delighted to have the talented forward here on our panel. Kelsey, congratulations. It's been a tiring old week with a fair bit of travel. You must have been delighted to be able to take this one away at home.
Absolutely. Anytime we play Adelaide, we know we have to rise to the occasion, and so tonight was no different. You know, they came out firing, and luckily we were able to get some pep after halftime and come out and play our brand of basketball.
You just said to me while we were off air that you've got to love having Christy Harrow on your team, and it's a comment you actually made last year too, that when you came to Bendigo, it sort of reestablished your love for the game, and the fact that playing with Christy really improved your game.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Christy, as she showed tonight, just is a master of the game. She really knows how to play basketball and makes my job so easy, makes me look great, which I love, and I just love playing with her. This year's no different. We have more scorers around her even this year, so, you know, on any given night, she may have to take over like tonight, or she may just take a back seat and kind of assist and help the flow of the game, but, you know, Christy came out and played amazing.
So with the additions that you've talked about, Elise Panaluna and Sarah Blickovs, that basically frees up you to play in the 3 spot a little bit more.
Right.
Is that something you play in the WNBA?
Well, this actually was the first year that I played in the 4 in the WNBA, which is more my natural position, and I believe I have more success at it. But it's been great for me to be here and play at the 3 because that definitely helps my versatility and makes me a better prospect as a pro. And so it's been challenging. I've had to work on my outside shot a fair bit, but it's good. It's good.
So, Kelsey, Connecticut, the Connecticut sun, the northeastern part of America, in the winter.
Yes.
Compared to Bendigo in the central part of Victoria in the summer. How do you go with the climate changes and the lifestyle variations and all those things? Because that's a bit of a headache, I imagine.
Well, I'm actually lucky enough that I get to go summer year-round.
Okay.
So when I'm in the WNBA, it's actually the summer, so I haven't had to experience a Connecticut winter. But I hear they're pretty brutal. I do get emails from the coaches, our GM and stuff, and it's usually about surviving the winter time. It's never usually that pleasant, so I love it here. I love the summer. It's great.
So, Kelsey, do you get to go home for Christmas first?
No, I'm staying here for Christmas.
So you do. You've just missed Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, and you miss Christmas.
Yep.
Is that hard being a professional athlete and missing those occasions?
It definitely is. You know, people think it's all glamorous being a professional athlete, and a lot of times the sacrifices are on the family end. And I have an amazing family who's so supportive. I Skyped with them yesterday to be able to wish them Thanksgiving, hear about what they were getting up to, and so that was great. And I imagine it'll be the same thing around Christmas. This will be my first ever in 26 years non-white Christmas, so I don't know what to think about it.
Well, I just have one last question. We have had a few imports that have come over, Chelsea Aubrey, Claudia Bizard, Laurie Chiswick, and have actually come for 1 year and stayed. Are we going to see you staying in Australia?
That's my plan. If I could have it my way, that's how it would be.
Fantastic.
Kelsey Griffin, you're being talked into citizenship by Laurie Chiswick there. Thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on that win. Yes, Bendigo certainly showing why they're top of the table. That match makes it 10 wins on the trot. Now, Darren and Laurie, I want to have a chat to you about a team that's perhaps more of a, I call them, what is it, Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon, or no, Hidden Tiger? I can't remember, whichever one. They're a very quiet danger lower down the table, but Canberra Capital, I keep expecting them to spring.
Yes, I would agree. I think you're mixing your metaphors as much as I'm mixing up my seasons over in America.
That's something that I do.
Oh, seriously. But the Canberra Capitals are just lying in wait, and Abby Bishop has been brilliant in recent weeks because she's been playing with injury, Laurie. She hasn't been able to train for the last month, and yet she's been putting up big stats. And then you've got Natalie Hurst back into the league this year, Jess Bibby in career best form, and the 2 young bigs as well.
Well, they did start out slowly. There's no doubt about that. And due to some injuries, we can't forget that their import, Spruik, was injured the very first game. So she's come back into the rotation. Certainly, we can see that when Abby Bishop is firing, the team does a lot better. And you know, speaking to Carrie Graff, they feel like they've had a bit of a hard run in the fixture to begin with. They've played Bendigo a couple of times, Melbourne, you know, some of the teams that are at the top of the ladder. So, you know, I think that they're going to challenge.
Well, I think they will, and I think starting tonight will be interesting because they played the Sydney Uni Flames in round 1 and they were comfortably beaten by the Flames. And the Flames, like Canberra, have mixed their form a little bit, and they've been right there. They've lost some close games, but they've got so much talent. How do you think that game is going to go specifically tonight? Because really, whoever wins this really sets themselves up for a big charge at the fall.
Well, I'd like to say maybe Canberra because it's home court advantage, but actually it isn't home court advantage because they play in Albury, taking it out to regional basketball. So that sort of deletes that argument. Wow, I don't know. I mean, we had to tip, and I went with Canberra. But, you know, Sydney are doing really well too. And as we said at the very start, Steph, they're crawling up the ladder like we expected them to.
They sure are. And we're going to have a look at those tips in just a moment. But let's see how the Crouching Tiger, there you go, I've got it right finally.
Crouching Tiger Hidden Dragon.
They've got that match tonight. Let's just have a look at our tips. We all went the same way. I haven't got out on a limb, and no tangents today, Darren Boyd.
So, yeah, we do think that Canberra's going to defeat Sydney, but again, I wrestled with that one, Laurie,
yeah,
and it was hard to pick. Townsville should defeat the West Coast Waves up north in Townsville. Then Dandenong versus Melbourne tonight, and then tomorrow is Melbourne-Adelaide.
See, I struggled with the Dandenong-Melbourne game as well. Last time that these two teams played, Amber Hagee wasn't playing.
Yep.
And you know, she's a quiet achiever as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, Dandenong have been a little bit up and down. That'll be an interesting one. And then, of course, Melbourne-Adelaide tomorrow.
Yeah, it certainly is a massive weekend. Now, if you want to see this one again, it was a fantastic match. Bendigo Spirit and Adelaide Lightning. You can catch that one 3:30 Wednesday morning, or, of course, at any time on iView. Now, for the football fans, we're headed to Perth tomorrow, so I better get going because I can get on a plane pretty soon. And it's Melbourne in action again. They've got Perth Glory hosting them at 3 p.m. on ABC One. Next week, Darren and Laurie, we are in Melbourne. We're further back up the road in Melbourne to see Bendigo Spirit travel up there 3 o'clock. What do you make of that one?
I'm excited to see that game, Laurie. These two sides have had some great battles over the years. This should be another.
Well, I would be excited to see it, except I'll be off to the USA on that day, so I'll have to be watching live stats or whatever it is. But there are some fantastic games coming up, and I'll miss them, but I certainly will be keeping track for my tips.
Well, of course, for your tips, who are you tipping in that one?
Oh, it's too early to tell. You have to think about it for the week.
Go out on a limb, Laurie. Be brave.
Darren Boyd, very quickly.
Oh, I can't tip against Bendigo. Just can't do it.
I can see why Bendigo was in form today. We hope you enjoyed the game here at Bendigo Basketball Stadium. Thank you for your company, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.